Welcome, friends. Welcome to another episode of Leadership Tidbits with Coach T. Wilson. I am your host and leadership mentor, Tywauna Wilson. Come on in into the virtual learning laboratory. Come in, introduce yourself. Let me know where you're coming in from. Would definitely like to know so that I can welcome you in properly. So, we have another awesome guest that's going to be talking about a topic that's very important to me right now, and it's why sleep is important. And so, some better habits that you can get by getting more sleep at night and allowing you to be more productive during the day. So if you are thinking, wow, there's just not enough hours in the day, then our mentor tonight will be able to give you a few tips that you can easily implement. But before we bring on our special guest, couple of updates and quick announcements for you. For those medical laboratory professionals who are tuning into this broadcast, our October monthly roundtable is right around the corner. And we have another amazing mentor. I am super excited about our mentor. Our mentor will be Cedric LaFleur. He is one of my personal mentors, a fellow laboratorian, and he's going to be giving us some strategies that we can use in our management life. So, October 26th, Wednesday, October 26th, make sure you register. You can find tickets on Eventbrite. And if you keep following me, I may have some goodies that I will be giving away. So you may be able to get into the room as my special guest. And if you are a member of the Standout Leader Academy, of course, this is already included in your membership. So you want to be there. You want to be able to ask questions. You want to be in the room. It's very engaging. We have an awesome mentor this session. And next session, we have another awesome mentor as well. So want you to stay in tune with that. And also, it's Tuesday. So what does that mean? Another episode of Elaborate Topics podcast released today. So if you are into project management, if you want to go into project management, if you've ever thought, what the heck is project management? Then listen to our episode from today. You can find it on Direct Impact Broadcasting or your favorite podcast platform. And once you listen to it, let me know what your takeaways are. You can actually send us a video testimonial and we'll feature you on our social media. So check it out, check it out, check it out. But without further ado, what you came here for tonight on Leadership Tidbits. Listen, I had to pay some bills first. I had to talk about the monthly roundtable and elaborate topics. So, got to pay some bills. Anywho, without further ado, I want to make sure I welcome our special guest and mentor for tonight, KUTImack. What's going on?
Hey, Coach Wilson, how are you this evening?
I am doing well. I'm excited to have you in our virtual learning laboratory. I'm excited to hear some of these tips that you got of how I can be more productive, how I can be more successful. So I'm excited. I'm ready to jump right in.
Me too.
So let me tell the viewers a little bit about you. I'm just going to tell them a little bit, and then you can fill them in with the rest of who you are. Again, I'm just giving you just a taste. So KUTImack, his reinventions, the root of KUTImack's BYBD philosophy and story. After 15 years of building his music business career, okay, he desired to build a parallel career continuing in alignment with his calling, which is helping others. Kuti quickly rose to the top of DC's most sought after personal trainers and nutritionists. His ease on airwaves and in front of live audiences made him a demanded expert nationally and internationally. Okay, I want to hear more about this music. and how all of that like blended in.
Okay, we can talk about it.
He is the creator of the 6-week Super You program. He's been affectionately dubbed the fitness philosopher and the rock star professor for his unique ability to share straightforward, science based fitness. And y'all know I'm a girl that loves science. For his unique ability to share straightforward, my bad, science based experience with inspirational philosophies that personally connect with people. Okay. I want to know more about that because I felt like I said a lot, but I want to hear about the music. I want to hear about how you transition to being a personal trainer and nutritionist. Kind of walk us through, in your own words, your journey.
So my journey, the quickest way I could explain it is being healthy is something that just always was a part of my lifestyle. I didn't know it at the time because I guess I've just been doing it for so long, but I was always interested in the healthier way to do things. And that might stem from the fact that, see, I'm an immigrant. So I was born in the UK and then came here when I was about 5, lost my accent when I was about 7. But my father's Nigerian, my mother's Nigerian. But her family, a lot of her family's in the UK. Like I said, I was born in the UK. So that said, I just remembered that everything I did, I had, as an immigrant, we had a lot of people in the family who had immigrant type jobs, i.e. people came here on purpose. People came here to go to school. And when they came here to go to school, they weren't jiving around with, if you're going to come here, you're going to do it. So there were engineers and doctors and nurses and that kind of pharmacists and those kind of people, all into science and medicine. A lot of people into medicine around me. So when I would have something as simple as a headache, I was always given 2 or 3 or 4 even options that weren't pharmaceutical before I would get a chance to even get an aspirin. If I had a headache, it was like, well, have you had something to drink? After I get something to drink, well, had you got some rest? Take a nap. Did you eat? So it's always something like homeopathic that was introduced to me, even amongst people who were studying medicine. I thought that was kind of interesting that even the people who worked in hospitals were not quick to assign medical solutions and pharmaceutical solutions to whatever was bothering me. If my eyes were itching from allergies, it was like, take a cold shower, wash your face, put some ice on your eyes, those kind of things. So as I started, and I was really into science as a kid. So when I started paying attention, I would notice that there'd be, say, a food. Like when I was young, there was a soda. I liked soda like any other kid did. And everybody was drinking Coke. And then all of a sudden, caffeine-free Coke came out. And I'm thinking to myself, well, why would they sell a caffeine-free Coke? What's wrong with caffeine? As a kid, I'd be like, what's wrong with caffeine? Because when I drink this Coke, it basically tastes like the other Coke. So why would they even put caffeine in the first place? So there must be something wrong with caffeine. So I don't like caffeine. So anything that had caffeine, I just went and just, took out the cover and just poured it all in the sink. Now my father was furious because I was like, into the sink. He's like, what you doing, boy? And I'm like, it got caffeine in it. So all of a sudden the house couldn't drink sodas with caffeine in them, or else I was going to be wasting them, right? And those kind of things. Same thing when I see sugar-free this and sugar-free that. So I was like, well, if this can be done without sugar, then why are we eating all this sugar? And then I got into sports very early. So I got into sports about age 7 or 8 and got serious. Like as soon as I got in, I was good and I was serious about it. So at this point, I'm thinking about my body at a very young age. I'm thinking about, I want to be just every competitive advantage I can have. And so without knowing it, and I would say this, being an immigrant, I came here, my last name was Kuti. Roots, I think, had just come out. I was hear from everybody, including Black people, you know what I mean? So it was because I had an accent. So it was one of those things where the sports field was the one place where I could level things quickly, because if I beat you in a race or beat you in a competition, you had to acknowledge me. You couldn't just make fun of me. Because when we came back from recess, it was like, that's the dude who wins. That's the fastest dude in the class. So that's how I think back end into sports. And then sports got me into thinking about my body. And then from there, I would see people again who would be known for getting their physique by just running hills and doing push-ups while the other people were doing weights, popular athletes at the time. And so I said, well, okay, if you can do it without lifting weights, then I'm going to do it. So I was always about doing things the most natural way possible. And that just kind of followed me. And I guess because I was playing sports for so long, so early, I didn't see it as exercise. It was just what I'd like to do. So I had healthy habits is what I'm getting at. So no matter what I did, whether I was in college, getting out of college, getting right into the music business, I always carried that with me. I never stopped going to the gym. I never stopped exercising. I never stopped being in shape, to be frank. And then, so in the music business, I was sort of known amongst certain people like the fit one.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, to be totally honest, I have and maybe even still have a mean sweet tooth. I'm not nearly as bad as it used to be, but I was known for my desserts. I was known for my way around desserts. But because I was in decent shape, it never really on the outside affected me. But I had a Krispy Kreme habit, and no diss to Krispy Kreme, but I had a Krispy Kreme habit that at one point just really threatened to throw my whole sugar situation, cholesterol situation. I was this close to probably being pre-diabetic and high cholesterol. And when my doctor, who also ironically, he's of East Indian descent, but he schooled in Lagos, Nigeria. So he comes from a very homeopathic remedy solution first. Like he's always last to prescribe medicine. So he pulls me aside. This is when I was still in the music business, and he says, "Hey, man, I can look at you because I always looked like this, just to be honest, So it's like he said, I can look at you and tell that you pay attention to your body. I see your cholesterol levels and blood pressure levels going up. They're close to the point where we might have to prescribe medicine. I'm going to give you the opportunity to fix this via nutrition." And that was the beginning of me starting to really kind of key in on what I was eating. And it's funny because the adjustments that I made then, they pale in comparison to what I would recommend to somebody now. However, the changes that I made then did indeed regulate my cholesterol and regulate my blood pressure. So the point I want to make really quick there is just a simple thing is any step you take towards improving your nutrition is a step that will benefit you. We all could stand to eat better.
Right.
There's no, I was talking to some clients today, there's no graph that just goes in a straight line. There's always going to be some dips. So there's always going to be an aberration, but we could always, as long as we're trending in the right direction, you're always doing yourself a better favor. If you just can get 4 minutes of exercise in, that's 4 minutes more than you would have done. You're 4 minutes ahead of where you were. So anything, the small steps you take, the incremental habits that you take, which we'll continue to discuss, are the things that actually help you get healthier. So I'm in the music business, and let's see. I've done a bunch of things in the business, been an executive, been an actual artist, writer, producer, manager. And I want to say the last phase, full-fledged, was probably management. And while I'm in management, I'm traveling around the nation with my artists, and I get a call from my dad, and he tells me something about how he wasn't feeling well, but he kind of just brushed it off like it wasn't a big deal. And it turned out, we didn't know it then, but it turned out later that he probably had a mini stroke.
Wow.
I thought he was just crying out for attention because, I was bad about staying in touch with my parents, to be honest, when I was like just, bouncing around the country, but, much more better about it now. And, there was a second time where I think I had just come back in town from something, and I got a call telling me to my mom was like, "Hey, where are you?" I was like, "I just got in town." She's like, "Go to such and such hospital." Now, mind you, my mother and my father have been divorced for a while. So her calling me to tell me I need to go to the hospital, and it had something to do with my dad, really kind of hit me like, whoa, okay. And so I just didn't ask any questions. It was about 8 a.m. I get there. Short story long, he had a high blood pressure incident that almost took him out. And his blood pressure the number was so grotesquely high that even the doctors were stunned when they got the reading. Matter of fact, when the doctors finally got a reading, they tried it electronically, and the machine couldn't even register the numbers that high.
Wow.
So they thought the numbers were broke. They thought the machine was broke. And after like the third time, we're all in there like, what kind of hospital is this that you have blood pressure machines that don't work? An old nurse came walking by, and she said, "Why don't you just do the old school way? Like just wrap them, just cuff them and cuff them and squeeze." And so they did that, and she saw the number. And I remember she never even said the number at the time. She just saw the number, calmly and coolly went to the phone and said, "We have a code blue." Now that technically means that he's dead. He was alive talking how we're talking now. But that's how high his blood pressure was. His blood pressure was so high that she was just like, this guy's about to die like any second. that turned into almost a 2 week ordeal, about 10 days. We were in the hospital. I watched him flatline a couple of times. And in the back of my mind, I'm remembering that not only do me and my father look alike and have the same hands, but if he's got blood pressure like this, and the doctor just told me not too long ago that my blood pressure was creeping up, I needed to figure out something fast. And at that time in my life, selfishly, I wasn't ready for my dad to die.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay. And the man was exercising. He would run miles every day and all that jazz, even at his elevated age. But and he's still around now. He's in great health, by the way. But I said, one day while he was still in the hospital, I went to his house and just looked at everything he had. He had a lot of salt and all this, junk food. So I just took everything out and just threw it out and said, okay, we're going to restock his refrigerator. And I started studying nutrition just so I could help him stay alive. I pretty much knew exercise. I pretty much knew exercise because I've been exercising my whole life for myself.
Mm-hmm.
But nutrition was something that I knew the basics, like everybody else does: eat more fruit, eat more vegetables. But I didn't really know how to really scientifically piece it together. And once I learned nutrition, and then later on holistic nutrition, plus had the advantage of having doctors and pharmacists and nurses around me that I could bounce ideas off of and see, okay, what are you trying to achieve here with this science? What are you trying to achieve here with this medicine? And how can nature actually achieve that? Coming back to my habits from when I was a kid, how can we naturally achieve this? That was how, as a layperson, I got into nutrition to save my dad, to be honest. He was, I guess, technically my first client, although he's never paid me, but he gave me life. And at that point, it was one of those things where, you hear some good news, you hear something that, really touches your spirit and you recognize as truth. The first thing you want to do is tell somebody else, right?
Right.
You hear a great song, you see a great movie, you want to tell somebody else. So as I'm learning this stuff, I'm getting excited. I'm like, man, did you know that you could reduce your chances of getting cancer by eating this and doing this and doing that? So I just became this health zealot while I was still in the music business. And then, like I said, at that point I was doing management. And the thing about management is when your artist isn't moving, you're not earning. You don't get a paycheck, every 2 weeks and all kind of stuff. You get a commission. And I was with an artist that we had done everything we could do up to that point, and we were at an impasse because of some other external factors that we were still in negotiations with. And at this time, I had to figure out, okay, how am I going to make money? And so while that was sitting sort of in limbo, the one thing I did, I said, I know in this country, two things will make you go broke fast, and that's getting sued and getting sick. It's unfortunate, but it's just, those are two things that I noticed that, they will bleed your bank account. So anytime I feel like there's even a question about money, the first thing I do is make sure I'm healthy. So I'm going to the gym a little extra because I got a little more time. And as I'm in the gym working out, again, I'm telling people all about all this nutrition stuff. So now friends are coming. I usually work out by myself. So anytime a friend would want to come to the gym with me, I welcome them because I just wanted somebody with me. But as I'm working out with a friend and talking about nutrition, what was happening is the gyms that I have memberships to, all the trainers in those gyms would get mad because they'd be like, man, my clients are watching that guy work out. He's training in the gym. He's not our. And I wasn't. I to this day, I right hand to God, I swear, I was just simply working out with people. People bring workout buddies.
Right.
What I was doing and saying was so much above what they were doing and showing their clients. Their clients were noticing and like, well, why don't we work out like that guy? Why don't we talk about what he's talking about? So finally, one of my friends who I went to college with was a trainer in one of these gyms. And he pulled me aside and said, man, everybody's talking about you in here. I said, yeah. I said, but I'm a member. I'm just working out. He said, you're not a trainer? I said, no. I said, I'm in the music business. He's like, you should be. I remember he just said, you should be. And I was just like, trainers don't make money. I mean, I'm used to making money. Like I was like, you can't. And one of my other friends who also went to University of Virginia, he, Frank Moore, I got to give him props, man. I got to give him props by name because that dude just, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here now. He just really put the battery in my back. Was like, you absolutely can do this and you can do well with it. Just get certified and go. And so I did. And the rest is history.
Wow, that's awesome. And you said a couple of things that just stand out. One, I'm happy to hear that your dad is okay and good, and you were able to support him.
He's ever been in his life. He's in the best health he's ever been in his life. I mean, I thank God.
Yeah, that's awesome. So one of the things that I heard, and a lot of our audience, they are navigating their careers and they're thinking about what skills they need. But one thing that stood out was how you were able to use your transferable skills. So you were in the music business, and so that was your primary lane. That was your primary focus at that time. So you
Yes.
had whatever skills or competencies that was needed to be successful in that arena, and then something happened,
Yeah.
right? You know, a health emergency or downsizing with a job or whatever the case may be, but you had to quickly take those skills and be able to do something else. Basically, you had to pivot. And I think that's important to call that out, because sometimes people think, well, man, this one route didn't work. So now I have to start all over. And you just said that exact different thing. You build upon what you already have. And, so,
Yes.
and some of those things that come natural to you, you know, you don't even think that this is a way that I can be compensated for, because it's what you've known. And that's
And that's a fact. I'll be honest. It's so hilarious to the people that know me from the music industry, because I was heavy in the music game, and even as a layperson, even as a child coming up, like music was my life. If I show you my music collection, it'll blow your mind. So, and it still is. And
Mhm.
so when people who know me from that are like, wait a minute, you're a fitness guy, like the pivot is so abrupt. It's not even like a parallel shift, although in my mind it is, because one of the things about the music business is it was a very volatile industry that didn't always operate on meritocracy. So in other words, you had to be ready at any minute.
Mhm.
If your label didn't have hits and wasn't selling records, you could be on the chopping block and you get fired just because they'd hire somebody else above you, and that person say, I'm bringing in my people, and there was no rhyme or reason to it. It was very few times, if any, that I can think of in my career where a new person came in on top and was just like, well, you know what, you're better than the person that I have, so I'm going to keep you on. That's
Mhm.
not the way it worked, even if they knew that I was a better executive than who they were bringing in. And so with that, you always had to be prepared. It was almost like you were running your own brand when it came to you as an executive, because the musical chairs were starting to, get pulled. And there was a time in the business where there was no shame in losing your gig, because there was always another one waiting for you. There was a million labels out there and money was just flowing like in the 90s. But then things started tightening up. The music industry went through its own, I would say, economic downturn, if not even recession, about 10 years before America did. So,
Mm.
and when the digital revolution came and Napster and downloading and all that stuff came, the music business didn't really adapt to that immediately. The music business was slow to capitulate to it. And it's still sort of kind of it's steering over there, but people still will argue left and right the benefits or the debits of streaming versus buying, CDs and all that jazz. That argument still flows within a certain generation of people. So you had to be nimble. You had to be ready to move, ready to go at any point in time. And I didn't know it then, but those skills definitely informed me as an entrepreneur, where I don't get PTO and I don't get paid vacation. I've got to figure this stuff out on my own. If I don't move my feet, I don't eat.
Mhm.
So it's one of those things where being able to structure out budgets and structure out, earning goals so that they all make sense when the year ends, and then resetting and doing it again on a client basis. Those things, I did get those skills definitely from being nimble on the music industry side of things. So for me, it's a transferable skill in the sense that both, whether it's music, which I've been into from about the same age that I was into sports and
Mhm.
athletics, either these things were passions of mine. And a quote that I'm always quick to attribute to my mother, Dame Bola Kuti, what she said was, whatever it is that you do, if you can figure out a way to take something that you love and be in the top three when somebody asks who's the best at this, or who's the best trainer in the city, or who's the best manager in the music business, or who's the best musician, or who's the best songwriter. If you can be in the top three of that, you can do whatever you love. You can find a way to get paid to do whatever it is you love. If you get paid to do whatever it is you love, you never have to work. And I will say this, in high school and middle school, I was good at getting jobs.
Mhm.
But I think from about middle of college forward, I was never really good at getting a job as much as I was good at getting paid for being who I am.
Ooh, that was good. That was really good.
Like,
Wow.
I just had my third, technically it's the 32nd reunion, but because of COVID, it was really the 30th that got pushed back. But my high school reunion just passed a few weeks ago. And I would venture to say that I'm not going out on a limb that if you asked anybody who was there to go back 32 years and ask them, well, man, you see what Cooties doing now? Because you see him doing it back then. I don't think anybody's sitting around stunned or surprised.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think it's one of those things that people who know me know, okay, that's what he's about. Like, I'm not surprised. I didn't surprise anybody. Maybe the fact that I actually broke through and was successful in the music business was a surprise because it doesn't happen for everybody.
Right.
The fact that I was in there didn't have people like, I would have never thought he'd be in the music business. I would have never thought he'd be on tour with Outkast. No, that was never. It was kind of like, yeah, there goes Cootie.
Mm-hmm.
And even with the
Wow.
fitness thing, I think it's the same thing. It's like it's totally on brand.
Wow. Well, you got a pretty awesome story. And I like how you were able to pivot and your mom gave some excellent advice. Moms know best.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
So, talk to us a little bit about this whole sleep stuff. So, of course, it's busy professionals, working professionals, parents, whatever industry that people might be in. Of course, they like, oh, I can sleep later.
Oh,
And, so they are quick to run off. And I know some people even brag about, well, I can go off, 3 hours of sleep and 4 hours of sleep. And we hear sleep is important, but it seems like anymore it's a competition on who can thrive off the less amount of sleep. So talk to us a little bit about your program and how getting sleep is important for building better habits.
full disclosure, prior to the pandemic, my sleeping habits for decades were the one thing, even beyond my sweet tooth, that was the biggest negative in my whole fitness regimen.
Mm-hmm.
I did not sleep. And in the 21st century, there are so many things competing for your attention. So many things catered directly towards you that are legitimate, and some are frivolous, but they all get a piece of us. And in America, productivity is always pushed. Rest is not.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there was a time, I'm old enough, I'm 50 now. There was a time I remember where TV used to shut off. There was a time you could turn on the TV and it'd be like the TV would tell you, what are you doing up, man? We ain't even putting no programming on, just be static. Those days are over. For decades now, we have generations raised on 24-hour TV, thousands and thousands and thousands of channels before you can get to the internet, and nothing shuts off. Matter of fact, if you think about it, just to kind of get a little fitness philosophy on you, think about how in this country, a lot of the things in terms of drugs that are, and I don't advocate any drugs, just to put that out there, but the drugs that are usually the most penalized in this country seem to be the ones that slow you down. But if it's something that's going to keep you up, including caffeine, nicotine, have at it. You go to 7-Eleven right now, it's going to be Jolt Cola, 5-hour energy drink. I mean, I forget the names of these things. We got these crazy names, kind of like Crank,
The
and
Red Bull and Monster and
Monster, yeah, all this stuff. And all that stuff is sitting in 24-ounce cans, just like stay awake, keep going, don't sleep. But if you take, if it's alcohol, weed, or something like that, like, no, that's illegal. Slow that down. So it's an interesting thing in this country where productivity is the name of the game. Multitasking is the name of the game. And what I'm here to tell people is actually you got to simplify, and we need to sleep. Sleep is actually where the bulk of all of the changes that we try to implement. So when we try to get healthy and exercise and eat better, all that stuff synthesizes in your system when you go to sleep. So the less you sleep, the less chance those results have a chance to stick with you. And we need to recharge. It's like your phone. You can keep your phone or your laptop going all day long. At some point, it just starts acting weird. But you know how you fix it? Turn it off, turn it back on. Right? So sometimes we are more complicated machines than these computers. So we need to turn off, shut down intentionally, and turn back on. And I'm thankful to say that I've doubled my sleep during the pandemic, and I'm not letting go of that. That's something that, I've been burning the candle at four ends for most of my life. And I mean, I got the 50 sort of, wrinkle free, but that ain't gonna last forever. I probably, at the rate I was going, I might have tapped out at 58 because, I tell people there's things like sleep miles. If you think about the math of the human day. The human day technically should be somewhere between 16 to 18 hours with 6 to 8 hours of sleep, right? And if you're operating like I was off of 3 hours of sleep, that means you're up 21 hours a day. So if you go 7 times 16 versus 7 times 21, in those same 7 days, in terms of waking hours, I've spent about 10 days awake when everybody else is spending 7. So it's like if you have a car and you're driving, it's on a warranty and it's got a 5 years, 50,000 mile warranty on it. But if you hit 60,000 miles in 3 years, you're out of warranty, right?
Right. Absolutely.
With sleep, I'm running out of warranty. So once I overshoot my 60,000 miles or my 50,000 miles, now anything can happen. And the manufacturer be like, bro, we told you 8 hours of sleep. You know what I mean? So I don't want to tap out early, no matter how good I might look, getting, in my 50s. And so I'm trying to get that time back, and I recommend that everybody else does too. And that sleep is exactly what will help you with your productivity. Think about how many times you've been working on something simple like balancing your checkbook or doing your taxes or doing an expense report or just trying to get some assignment for work done, a project done, and you burning the midnight oil. It's 1 a.m. You're just laboring over 2 + 2 = 2 + 2 =, and then you go to sleep. And then you wake up in the morning, come back to it, and you just go, 2 + 2 = 4, just like that. It's the same kind of thing. We need rest. So when you find yourself struggling like that, it's just an indication that we need rest. And rest is where all the good stuff that we input, the stuff that we learn, the stuff that we ingest, the stuff that we do as far as physical exertion, healing if you're injured. Sleep is where all of that stuff starts to repair, and then you wake up in the morning, you're fresh, and then you put some good nutrition in your system, you can recharge and keep going. So what I always tell people to do is, when it comes down to sleeping, and I'm telling people from experience, because I told you, I was horrible with sleep. What I started to do was I said, okay, and then I get to bed, sometimes I'd be so charged up because I've been looking at a phone all day. And what I realized was our phones and our computers hit us with this white light that our bodies interpret as daylight. So as we're looking at this thing, our bodies are still thinking it's daytime, even when it's nighttime outside. So when you just say, okay, I'm going to look at my phone and then go to bed, that's why sometimes we just can't get to bed, even though we're sitting there in the posture of sleep, we can't get there. So one thing I tell people to do is, first of all, try your best to try to make sure you're getting 6 hours of sleep. If you're like me and you're getting 3 hours of sleep, let's just do it in increments. Say, okay, this week we're going to just go for 4 hours. Next week, 4.5. The week after that, 5. The week after that, 6, right? Once you get there, figure out what time you need to be up to get ready. So for me, I need a good hour to do my morning routine, do my devotion, clean up, get showered, kind of go through my day before I start. So that means if I've got to be somewhere, if I got to be up and rocking and rolling by 5:30, that means that no later than 4:30, I need to be waking up. So then what I do is I set the alarm for 4:20 to wake up. Why? Actually about 4:25. I give myself 5 minutes so that when the alarm comes on, that I don't have to just jump right out of bed. And now we got smartphones, so you can program your favorite soothing, whether it's a jazz song or a gospel song or a classical song, or just your favorite, whatever your favorite music is, but something that's a relaxed wake up. Have that be your first alarm in the morning, 5 minutes before you technically need to get up. Matter of fact, try to make it maybe a 4 or 5 minute song if you can find that, right? And when you do that, that nice soothing song comes on. You don't have to jump out of bed. You just kind of stay in bed. Now, if you got somebody in bed with you, figure out how that's but let that song come on. Just let that soothe you. So it's time to wake up, but it's not time to get up. Open your eyes. You don't hit snooze. You don't do anything. Just open your eyes and stay there in bed. And just kind of like let that song wash over you. Sometimes I like to do an inspirational song or something like that just kind of has me like, okay, boom, today is my day or whatever. Then when that song is over, have your legit alarm come on. But don't make that alarm a jarring alarm either. Make it a pleasant tone, but something that will make you know, okay, it's time to get up. Maybe that's the tone that, okay, if I don't hurry up and get up, whoever's in bed with me is going to be really mad that this thing is making all this noise. You have that second alarm, that's when you get up. So kind of have that as a way to get up, as a ritual to get up. But let's rewind. Before you even get up, If like in my example, if 4:25 is my wake up time, then I need to be in bed no later than whatever the 6 hours is before that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say 10:30. I need bed at 10:30. So set an alarm to go to bed. A lot of people don't do this. Set an alarm, and that alarm goes off. Ding! It's time to go to bed. It's time to shut it down and go to bed, no matter what you're doing. Because I don't care what you're doing. If you're not at your optimal best, you're not going to do your best anyway. You probably, if it's a project and you're burning into midnight oil, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. You're going to find yourself spending a whole bunch extra time on something that you really could just go to bed, get the rest, and then wake up in the morning, just bang it out in like 5-10 minutes with a clear head. So set an alarm to go to sleep. Now, the sleep ritual. When you're going to bed, what I want people to do is think about the day. Go to bed on purpose. That's another mistake I used to make. I used to just fall asleep, and I could fall asleep anywhere.
I'm guilty of that.
Anywhere. I've been at concerts, standing next to the speaker, and just be, So I can fall asleep anywhere. So falling asleep, but go to sleep. Going to sleep is so much better than falling asleep. So you go to sleep, whatever that ritual is, figure out how long that takes, and then set your alarm for however that, if it's 15 minutes, if it's 10 minutes, whatever, set your alarm 10 minutes prior to time for you to go to bed. You go through your ritual. When you're in bed, what I want you to do is just think about the day. Think about the one thing that day that you accomplished, that you're proud of. And it could be business, or it could be personal. It could be a great conversation with a family member or a friend. But just think about something that you're grateful for that happened that day. Once you've done that, what I want you to do is think about the one thing that absolutely must be completed before you go to sleep the next day. Just the one thing. I know we all, busy people like us, we've all got this laundry list, a to-do list. And sometimes that thing might change depending on what's going on at work, or what's going on at home, or what's going on in life socially. But that one thing that if you go to bed tomorrow without it being done, it's going to nag and grate your last nerve. You know what that thing is, right? You know how you have that thing just like, I didn't do that again. You know what I mean? Think about that one thing. And like I said, it's your priority. I'm not here to rate that or whatever. It's what's important to you. Think about that one thing and just purpose yourself. Okay, before I go to bed tomorrow, I'm going to get that done. Matter of fact, if I'm at my best before 11 a.m., I'm going to get that one thing done. And then last but not least, just have a pleasant thought. Just something that, it could be a childhood memory, or it could be something that happened that very day. It just had you like, man, that was really cool. So 3 things. Think about what you're grateful for having accomplished that day, whatever it is. Number 2, and usually once you get into a rhythm with this, the thing you're grateful for having accomplished is that thing that you went to bed and said, before tomorrow's over, I'm going to get that done. You see how that cycle works? So the thing that you purpose to accomplish tomorrow, get that done. So when you go to bed, you say, man, at least I got my taxes done. Thank God. Right? Then, okay, what's the one thing I got to do tomorrow? 3rd, what was just the most awesome thing? Just an awesome thing that just make me smile. And almost, I say 9 times out of 10, no matter how much your mind is racing, you just focus on those 3 things, you'll find yourself falling asleep just out like a light. Wake up to that nice smooth tune that you enjoy, that just motivates you and doesn't jar you. Because I was the person that used to have those crazy alarms that just scare me awake. I don't do that no more, man. So it's like have a nice, pleasant tone, a favorite song, something just invokes, just joy and pleasantness, and just let that song have its moment. Get out of bed nice and relaxed, and then go about your morning ritual. And then get that thing done. If you can get it done before 11 a.m., there is power in that. Because if you get that one thing done before 11 a.m., the rest of the day is yours. You can knock out some other tasks. Because think about it. Sometimes we have a list that's 10 deep, and we'll accomplish 4 or 5 things on that list. 4 or 5 is excessive. 2 to 3 things on the list. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking finish, not just start. So you finish 2 or 3 things on that list. But if you don't get that one thing done, even with those 2 or 3 things done, your day feels like a waste, right? So if you get that one thing done, then those other things are just gravy, and you start knocking those out, you feel really productive. But even if you get nothing done and your day gets totally derailed by something you didn't see coming, if you get that one thing done, you'll still go to bed satisfied with your day. Now here's the wild part of the game. If you just get that one thing done, here's where we talk about the simple step. If you just get that one thing done, and nothing else, but that one thing is the one thing that you absolutely needed to get done every single day, that means that over the course of a week, even if you slipped up once or twice, you'd have gotten 5 major things knocked off of your list. Think about your list right now and think about how many things have been sitting on your list for weeks, nagging you for weeks, if not months. And you can knock 5 of those things out, bam, in a week just by concentrating on that one thing the night before. You'll get better rest. You'll sleep calmer. You'll reduce your stress. You'll get up ready for the day. You'll get up in a nice calm fashion. You'll be re-energized, and you'll be more productive than you've been in the last few months. I'm giving y'all that spit for free. You know what I mean? Like, you could knock 5 things. If you could not know that at the beginning of the week, 5 major tasks that you want to get done were done by the end of the week, you'd be like, man, where do I sign? How do I figure that out? It's there waiting for you.
That's good. Because you're right. A lot of times we do. We have all this stuff on our list and not accomplishing anything, trying to do a little bit here, a little bit there. And then the day go by, you wake up and it's like, it seems like you're already behind, right? You're already behind. And then you got the 3 to 5 to 10 to 20 things on your list. And then it's like, okay, you don't accomplish anything. So you're right that having that one thing.
Yeah, we confuse activity for achievement. I used to do it all the time. I was busy as I don't know what, but I'm like, why do I still have all this stuff to do?
Right.
Because multitasking, again, we're in an era where productivity, just keep working, keep moving, keep grinding. Don't sleep. I sleep when I'm dead. Don't sleep. That day is going quicker than you think. Be careful what you ask for. I thought about that one day. I don't say that anymore. I'm like, I sleep, man. Sometimes I'll be like, hey, I'm just going to bed. That's revolutionary for people like me. Now, the thing is, if you're instead of like spinning a bunch of plates but never completing a task, but say, I'm just going to do this one task that's the task and accomplish it and get it done, man, you just start chopping these big projects off the list. And what you'll find is you'll get into a rhythm where you'll realize that some of these tasks that you thought were so tall, once you start doing them, they weren't that major at all. You just needed to have a fresh head to attack it and say, okay, anytime I'm sitting around twiddling my thumbs, scrolling through Instagram or Facebook, you know what, let me get that one thing done. I still haven't gotten that one thing done. And once you get it done, it is done. I mean, soup to nuts, not started, but done. Now, sometimes these things might rely on other people. Sometimes there's things where, you know, they're contingent on somebody else's feedback. But again, if all you're focused on is that one task,
right,
then even if then you can lean on that person like, hey, man, I called you at 1, you know, I need that information. It's 3. I need that information. If they don't do it, okay, boom, the next thing on your list, get that done. So you have something that you say at the end of the day, I got something done. And again, just chopping that list down 5 by 5 by 5. You'll look up some days, and that list that used to be so long, you'll be wondering, what do I got to do? What's on? And when you get to that point, you are rocking and rolling at such a supreme level of productivity. And again, it doesn't take that much.
I love that. I mean, especially with people dealing with so much stress and anxiety and, you know, overwhelm and all of that. I think that's very important. You know, just focus on one thing. Sleep. You're meant to sleep.
Sleep. We are all, as human beings, we are these finely tuned machines, and our bodies are capable of adapting to all kinds of abuse that we give it, whether it's, you know, not eating correctly, especially not eating correctly, not getting rest. But again, I challenge you, you just leave your computer on running. At some point, it's going to just click out on you. It's just going to do so. It's going to get hot and start making all these noises, and the fan going to start blowing. And it's like, yo, turn me off. Let me rest. Your phone the same way. You know, if you don't plug that thing in, put it on a sleep timer, at some point it's just gonna black out on you. And those are mechanical things. You know, if you just drive your car just, you know, for hours and hours and hours, at some point it's just gonna conk out on you. As human beings, how much more us, our bodies, our minds. And the stress is real. There's a lot of stuff going on, especially, man, the last couple of years, and just everybody with, you know, what was the pandemic, I guess is now endemic, and just all these things and just all this information just flying at us and hitting at us, and we don't know what's real and what's not. And when I think about it, again, I'm old enough to remember an era where information didn't hit us this much.
Right.
We survived, and for good reason. And I thought about it, and you know, over COVID, I lost a bunch of people that were my peers, people that didn't even get a chance to see 50 or saw 50, and they were gone. And I'm like, wow. So for my mission in life now is to slow things down and simplify. And as I slow things down and simplify successfully, I like spreading that to other people. Just here's some things you can do to just get back. Because honestly, all I ask people to do, just like when I was a kid, just take it back to the essence of what we were designed to do and be.
Mm-hmm.
All this stuff that's coming at us artificially is artificial.
Right.
You know, our bodies aren't. Think about this. Like I'm a big Prince fan, and when he passed like it's been almost 7 years now. But if you're looking at the internet, you would swear he just died yesterday.
Right.
It's always like, I just saw something today. 10 years ago today, Prince recorded this. 10 years ago today, this, happened. 20 years. And you keep getting these reminders. But back before there was, social media and internet access, when an entertainer died, you saw it once a week on Entertainment Tonight. You mourned.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. I don't remember people reminding me what Lucille Ball was doing, in 1990. 10, 20 years ago, Lucille Ball did her first episode of I Love Lucy. We didn't get any of that. He's like, when somebody died, they died. And as human beings, I don't believe that we're wired to be grieving like that. Just keep getting reminded that, on this day, last week, this terrible thing happened to you or happened to somebody else. That's something that's catered to us by algorithms.
Mm-hmm.
Human beings, we grieve, we deal with a loss, and then we put it away, and then remember, and then memorialize it how we see fit. But now we're being told, don't forget to grieve Prince, don't forget to grieve Whitney Houston, don't forget to grieve Michael Jackson, don't forget to it just keeps coming at you. Mm-hmm. So I think that just being able to unplug. If it wasn't for social media, we wouldn't be able to do this now. So I love technology. Don't get me wrong. I'm honored, to be able to have the opportunity to talk to you across state lines. But what I'm saying is we've got to understand where it really stands and what's really real and how to reconnect to who we are as human beings. And a lot of that means just slowing down, pressing pause, taking intentional breaks. Another free thing I'll give people. I'm one of those people that have those calendars, right? Mm-hmm. And my digital calendar, my Google Calendar, my iCalendar. And I remember I showed it to one of my career coaches, and I know we got to dump out, but my career coaches, he looked at it, he was like, man, it's like a kaleidoscope. All these colors are bumping up against each other. I thought it was all organized because I had different colors. He said, I need to see spaces in between every one of these things. I said, but that's impossible. He said, I'm not talking to you again, so you figure it out. So I started making sessions 55 minutes instead of an hour. And just that 5 minutes in between the sessions, to just kind of sit down, go to the bathroom, get a drink, made all the difference in the world in my productivity. Mm-hmm. Schedule in pauses, intentional pauses of 5 minutes just to absolutely do nothing. And just sit still and just, again, let yourself recharge. Let your brain, your hard drive refresh.
Absolutely. I love that. And you're right. You do need those pauses, those back to back meetings, and your productivity definitely goes down because you don't have time to debrief what you just heard and get ready for the next one. And so our time, unfortunately, is almost coming to a close.
That was quick.
I know, but there are going to be some people that are listening to this live or will listen to the replay or watch the replay. They are going to want to know more about you, something you said today connected with them, and they're like, I want to know more. And so how can people get and stay connected with you? And then give us a teaser about your signature program in case if those viewers are interested in learning more.
All right. So the easiest way to keep in touch with me would probably be Instagram at KUTImack. So it's just my name, KUTImack. Just find me on Instagram and follow me there. You can find me on Facebook at BYBD Fitness, and online, website wise, you can just get a good overview of me at the bybdfitness.com. As far as my program, it's the 6-week Super You. I'm super proud of this program because what it succeeds in doing, I'm going to use this word success a lot. It takes people who are successful at everything else in life, may have even been successful at being healthy at a previous age in their life, but can't figure it out now. And it takes those people who are successful at everything in life except for their fitness and helps them succeed at making that not just a temporary thing, but a lifestyle change. So I'm going to show you some really easy to implement and it'll take some time to kind of reconfigure the culture in your head. But once you get it, it taps into the things that you enjoy that'll help you make being fit a lifestyle. When I say fit, I mean both mentally, I mean as far as like organizationally, and of course physically. With information, super facts, super foods, and super moves. So you get a little bit of workout, you get a little bit of information, you get a little bit of nutritional consultation, and we can talk about it. Just hit me up, like I said, just direct message me, and we can have a conversation about what it is that program's about. And even if you don't necessarily need that program, but you just want to get realigned, if you saw me here on Coach T's show, just mention that you saw me on Coach T's show, and I'll gladly just spend some time with you just because.
That's awesome. So make sure you reach out to KUTImack and learn more about his program. Follow him on Facebook, Instagram, go to his website. I think you will be pleasantly surprised and you will love what he's talking about, especially if you are thinking about fitness from a holistic standpoint of that mental, that physical, the nutrition, thinking about rewiring your mind. I really think that, you may want to connect with him and his program. So thank you so much. This has been awesome, awesome, awesome. You gave me some things to think about and to reprogram and start some better habits, especially around that sleeping and really just focus on that one thing.
Yeah, that one thing. And thank you for having me, Coach Wilson. I'd love to be back. So if there's anything else that we want to talk about, I'm here for you. Okay.
Absolutely. And so I definitely will reach out to you. I would love to have you back because I can't. You got your music stuff in the background, and it's a lot of stuff we didn't even get to talk about. And I know people are gonna, you know, see this broadcast or hear the broadcast, and they're like, "Well, I want to know more." Like, he said he was a musician, and what sport did he play, and all of that good stuff. So I definitely got to have you back to talk more about those specific things as well. But this
I'm
has
here for
been
you.
awesome.
I'm
This
here
is
for
really
you. Thank you so much for sharing your platform with me.
no problem. So thank you, viewers, listening audience, for tuning in to this episode of Leadership Tidbits with Coach T. Wilson. I told you I was going to have another amazing mentor, and I did.
I'm humble.
So KUTImack is coming to us from the Washington, D.C. area. And so get connected with him. I like to bring you different mentors in different spaces to be able to help you improve your life, both professionally and personally. You know what you need better than I do, and I just want to bring resources that will help you be able to do that. So thank you so much for tuning in. Check out this episode, share it out. Make sure that you tell a friend. Come back next week to hear from another amazing mentor. And until next time, my friends, I hope you have an amazing, amazing week.